They thrive on crisis, yet only they possess the magical ability to make the drama disappear. Why does your partner intentionally create problems? This is the dark psychological paradox of strategic chaos injection, a calculated tactic to maintain your focus and control.
So, let's really sink into that for a second. That quote, it hits hard because for so many people, it just feels so true. It's the core of a dynamic that is deeply confusing and honestly, really painful. It's that feeling of being on a roller coaster you never even wanted to get on. And it's a total contradiction, right? The very person who seems to be the source of all the storms is also the one holding the only umbrella. How does that even work? Well, in this explainer, we are going to carefully pull that paradox apart piece by piece. We're going to unpack the strategy behind the chaos, understand the psychology that makes it tick, and, most importantly, we're going to lay out a clear path to get your own peace back.
All right, so here's our roadmap. Think of this as our journey from confusion to clarity. First, we're going to tackle that paradox of control, this wild idea of using chaos to actually gain control. Then, we'll give this whole thing a name, drag it out into the light. From there, we'll get into the nuts and bolts, the three-stage cycle that makes it so wickedly effective. After that, we'll dive into the psychology of it all, why this trap works so well. And then, the part we're all waiting for, we shift into action mode. We're talking real solid steps on how to break this loop for good. And we'll wrap it all up with one big, empowering takeaway that you can hold on to.
Okay, Section 1, the paradox of control. Let's start with this really central, kind of mind-bending idea. See, in our normal lives, we think of chaos as a failure, right? A project goes sideways, a plan falls apart. It's something we try to avoid. But in the dynamic we're talking about, you have to flip that idea completely on its head. Here, chaos isn't an accident. It's a tool. It's a carefully used strategy designed for one thing and one thing only: control. That constant anxiety, that feeling like you're always putting out fires, that isn't just a byproduct of a rocky relationship. For the manipulator, that instability, that is the goal.
This right here, this is the whole game in one sentence. The goal is so deceptively simple. This entire performance of crisis and calm is just designed to eat up all of your attention. Think about your focus, your energy. It's like a currency. You only have a limited amount every day. By manufacturing a never-ending stream of emergencies, the manipulator makes sure you're spending all that currency on them. You're always reacting, never planning. There's just no mental space left for your goals, your friends, your hobbies, or even just a moment of quiet. Your energy becomes a resource that they completely control, and that's how they keep you from building a life outside of their orbit.
So now we understand the why. The goal is to monopolize your focus. So let's get to the what. This isn't just a case of someone being dramatic or high maintenance. This behavior is a specific, identifiable tactic. It has a name, and giving something a name, well, that's the first step to taking its power away. This is where we go from that foggy feeling of something's wrong to a clear-eyed understanding of exactly what's happening.
And there it is, strategic chaos injection. Let's break those words down, because every single one matters. First, strategic. This means it's on purpose. It's not random. Second, chaos. This is the instability, the conflict, the drama. And third, injection. This really highlights that the chaos is being put into the system by them. The definition says it's deliberate, not a mistake. The urgency is manufactured. It's like someone screaming fire, not because there's a fire, but because they want you to come running. And the whole point is to seize control by wrecking your sense of peace so completely that you start to depend on them, the arsonist, to be your firefighter.
So what's really going on inside someone who does this? Well, the core need is for centrality and dominance. They have this deep, almost bottomless need to be the main character in every story. By forcing you into that constant state of reaction, they guarantee that you're always thinking about them, always talking about them, always trying to fix their problems. The ultimate goal? Your dependency. You slowly get conditioned to see them as the only one who can fix the messes they create, which makes them feel incredibly powerful and important. And, this is exactly why this tactic is a hallmark of certain personality disorders, especially narcissistic personality disorder with its need for admiration, and histrionic personality disorder with its pattern of excessive attention-seeking.
All right, now we get to the engine that powers this whole thing, and it's so important to get this. This is not random drama. It is a system. It's predictable, it's repeatable, and it's a cycle. Understanding this three-stage process is kind of like a magician showing you how the trick works. Once you see the blueprint for the illusion, you can never unsee it. You're no longer just part of the audience. You see exactly how it's done. Okay, this breaks down the cycle perfectly. Let's walk through it. It all kicks off with stage 1, chaos manufacturing. A problem just appears out of thin air. A sudden, mysterious financial crisis. A dramatic fallout with a friend where they're somehow the victim. A sudden illness that needs all of your attention. This immediately puts you on edge, and that flows right into stage 2, the dependency loop. Now this part is key. They make sure the problem is way too complicated for an easy fix. They might even block outside help, saying things like, "Only you can understand." This isolates you. It makes you feel like you are the only one responsible for fixing this mess, and it is exhausting. And then, just when you're about to snap, we hit stage 3, heroic resolution. The manipulator, the person who started this whole fire, magically appears with a bucket of water. They solve the crisis, take all the credit, and they get to bask in your relief and your gratitude. And just like that, the trap is reset for next time.
And this brings us to a really crucial point. What keeps this toxic machine running? It's not your weakness. It's actually your greatest strengths turned against you. People who are empathetic, conscientious, people with a really strong sense of responsibility, they are the perfect targets. Your natural desire to help, to fix things, to be a good partner, that becomes the very fuel for their fire. The manipulator knows you can't stand to leave a problem unsolved, and they count on that good part of your nature to hook you into their drama, again and again.
So, we've looked at the how, that 3-stage cycle. Now let's go a layer deeper into the psychology of this trap. Let's explore the why. Why is this pattern so incredibly powerful and so hard to get out of? Well, it's because it creates this perfect, toxic lock-and-key dynamic, where the manipulator's needs slot perfectly into the target's vulnerabilities.
This slide lays out that lock-and-key dynamic perfectly. On the left, you've got the manipulator's motivation. They have a desperate need for what's called supply, any kind of attention, good or bad. They need centrality, they have to be the star of the show, and they need to prop up their grandiose self-image as the hero. Now look at the right side, the target's vulnerabilities. The chaos they create triggers your deep need for anxiety reduction. You just want the stress to end. The fake problem taps into your natural need for closure. Our brains just hate unsolved problems. And over time, as this happens again and again, you can be conditioned into a state of learned helplessness, where you start to believe you're powerless, and that just going along with it is the only way to get a little bit of peace. You can see how one side perfectly feeds the other.
Okay, we have analyzed the problem, the tactic, the psychology. Now we're shifting gears. This section is all about empowerment. It's about moving from just understanding the trap to actively taking it apart. And there are very real, very powerful steps you can take.
And that's really the question, isn't it? It's not about changing them, it's about changing your role in the play that they've written. How do you stop being the crisis manager and start being the CEO of your own life again? The answers are practical, and they all start with a simple shift in how you see things. So, the very first tool in your new toolkit is what we call the crisis ratio. This is your first line of defense, and it just requires you to become a calm, detached observer, an auditor of the relationship's crises. Grab a notebook or open a note on your phone. For just 1 week, track the emergencies. On one side, list the actual unavoidable problems, a flat tire, a real-world issue. On the other side, list the problems that were either created from nothing or dramatically blown out of proportion by your partner. What you'll probably find is this staggering imbalance you see here. And when you see in black and white that 90% of the chaos is manufactured, well, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. You're not with an unlucky person, you're in a dynamic with a chaos manufacturer.
So here's the 2-step plan. It's simple, but it's powerful. First, you use that crisis ratio to gain that rational awareness. You start seeing the pattern for what it is, a strategy, not just bad luck. And second, and this is the active part, you implement the delegation boundary. This means you have to consciously fight that urge to take ownership of their manufactured problems.
And this right here, this is your script. Memorize this sentence. It is your most powerful tool. I can support you, but you need to be the one to call and solve this. Let's break down why it's pure genius. The first part, I can support you, is so important. It shows you're not being cold or uncaring. It de-escalates things. But the second half, you need to be the one to solve this. That is the firm, non-negotiable boundary. It calmly and clearly hands ownership of the problem and the solution right back to its source. You are politely declining the role of rescuer in their drama. And at the end of the day, this is the fundamental mindset shift you have to make. The manipulator creates a storm of emotion, pity, guilt, anxiety, and they are counting on you to react to it. Their whole strategy depends on getting an emotional reaction from you. So breaking the loop means you have to engage your rational brain. It means choosing logical observation, recognizing the pattern over that powerful, conditioned impulse to jump in and save them from a fire they set themselves.
Okay, let's bring all of this home now. Let's distill it down to one final, powerful idea. This is the thought that needs to be your anchor when the next storm starts to gather on the horizon.
And this is it. Please, never forget this. The urgent problem they're waving in your face is not the real problem. The manufactured crisis, that is the strategy. And your designated role in all of this, as the selfless hero who swoops in to save the day, that is the trap. The whole show is designed for one reason and one reason only, to pull you onto their stage and keep you under their spotlight.
So, let's recap. First, remember the name, Strategic Chaos Injection. That is the strategy that answers the question, why do they create problems only they can solve? It's not just a personality quirk, it's a method of control. We saw exactly how the pattern works. Chaos manufacturing creates a dependency loop, and that's what ensures the manipulator stays at the center of your world, getting the supply of attention they crave. But we also learned that awareness absolutely breaks this loop. By identifying the crisis ratio, you stop seeing bad luck and you start seeing a deliberate pattern. And then, by implementing the delegation boundary, you refuse to be the designated solver. You are turning down the role they assign to you. And in doing that, you cut off the fuel for the fire, you stop the cycle in its tracks, and you finally get to reclaim your focus and your peace.